Hello everyone, good afternoon, and we're back to doing some research using a search engine. That's what search engines are for. And I'll be looking at two different searches today. One is a repeat of the search I've done in the past. That's Israel COVID-19 vaccination. Why I'm doing this search is related to the second search that I opened, and that is about Novavax. And we will soon find out how the two searches are related. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 results open, and it goes slightly beyond the original search because those news articles are also related to what I'm looking at. So I began the search here, 844,000 results. And what was the news that I looked at? It's about, if you look at these two words, Novavax and Israel, then you will find what is interesting. And I have this article already open. COVID-19, Israel buys 5 million Novavax vaccines, 57,000 test positive. This is from 2 days ago. So this is the article that I'm looking at. COVID-19, Israel passes 1,000 serious cases as R rate drops to 1.01. So the headline mentioned in the search engine is different from the one in the article. It could be that they updated it. It said to be updated on January 29, 2022, 21:33, and was published on January the 28th. So they did update the article. They could have, they evidently also changed the headline. Megan David, worker, take a COVID-19 rapid antigen test from Israelis in need of green pass authorization at a Megan David Adam testing center in Jerusalem on December 22, 2021. Green pass authorization. So, what does this article have to say? There was a significant decrease in reported COVID-19 cases on Saturday evening, with 53,020 new cases being reported the previous day, some 4,000 less than a day prior. Well, with all that testing, you're going to keep finding cases. You're vaccinating and you're testing. All right. However, this may not be indicative of the downward trend that experts have estimated will begin to make itself visible over the coming days as fewer tests are conducted over the weekend than during the week. Well, you be the judge of what they're doing and why. But what is more indicative of such a trend is showing optimistic results is the reproduction, R rate, which has fallen to 1.01 as of the latest report, meaning that each infected person infects slightly more than one person. As the R rate decreases, so do the number of new daily cases, since each person is on average passing the virus on to less people. A week prior, the R rate stood at 1.34 when every 3 people infect 4 others. So this is interesting because everything I've heard and read about the Omicron variant is that it has a very high transmissibility and less pathogenicity, so it's less dangerous. That's any news you open across Europe, in South Africa, where it first came out from, other places in Africa, in the US, the Omicron variant, The news when it came out was supposed to be good news. This is what we're expecting. But not in Israel. The story is different there. I still have that cough. Just a mild, clear cough. But if it disturbs you, excuse me. So, it says serious cases, however, continue to rise, reaching over 1,000 for the first time in almost a year. Some 1,010 were reported on Friday, an increase of about 60 since the day before. So what I want to look at is where they talk about Novavax. And it says here in the second last paragraph, the Israeli government has agreed to a deal with US-based biotech company Novavax to buy 5 million COVID-19 vaccine doses. The health ministry announced on Friday. The doses, expected to arrive in Israel over the next few months, are yet to receive a nod of approval from the US Food and Drug Administration. As part of the deal, Israel has the option to purchase an extra 5 million doses. So the Israeli government gave an order before the USFDA approval. It seems like the two are related because the test will be done in Israel. And then the FDA would have data from Israel to base their decision on. And this is the other news I opened. This is also from Israel. Novavax asks FDA to authorize its COVID-19 vaccine. Novavax files for emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine for US adults. Novavax announced on Monday that it has filed for emergency use authorization of its COVID-19 vaccine for US adults, Reuters reported. So it doesn't have FDA approval. There are others that have FDA approval. People don't have faith in FDA approvals, but it is still a barrier for what it's worth, because when you have a government agency involved, they're also involved in reporting on how that product is doing. Even if the report is submitted by the manufacturer, there's some accountability. And if there's any batch of the vaccine that is found to be below standard, the manufacturer informs the FDA gives out a recall notice, and the public is informed as quickly as possible. It's not a flawless system. The FDA gets money from pharmaceutical companies. The FDA gets data from the pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical companies are actively involved in the day-to-day operations of the FDA. But still, it is a channel and it is a barrier. If there is no need for approval, anyone with the technology could build a counterfeit vaccine, and bring it to the market. Who's going to stop them? You could say this is capitalism. Somebody could say, I looked at the formula, I have the technology, I understand the pharmacology, the pharmacokinetics, everything that is to do with the building of a vaccine. I have these scientists, they used to work at Pfizer and Moderna, now they're working with me, and now we have built our own vaccine. We want to sell it in the market at half the price for what Pfizer and Moderna are charging. So it's pure capitalism, but who's going to stop them if there's no government agency in between? Other than if there are repercussions afterwards. Patent rights and all, that is also another matter. Nobody can just go around and steal formulas from others. These are classified information. Every company guards these secrets because they've worked on it for decades, in many cases, and they have a right to profit from their hard work. But It's impractical not to have the FDA involved. Impractical. So anyhow, we're going to continue reading this after my thoughts from the first paragraph. So the second paragraph, the filing is based on data provided to the US Food and Drug Administration last month and results of 2 late-stage trials in the United States, Mexico, and the UK that showed the protein-based vaccine had an overall efficacy of about 90%, the company said. We believe our vaccine offers a differentiated option that can be an alternative to the portfolio of available vaccines to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic, said Novavax Chief Executive Officer Stanley Erck in a statement quoted by Reuters. Now, this is where it gets interesting because Novavax, well, let's read a little bit more here. Novavax vaccine uses a different technology than the mRNA vaccines from Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna, or the Johnson & Johnson one-dose shot. Novavax has had to delay its US submission multiple times due to development and manufacturing setbacks. This is enough information. I'm going to leave the links to these articles in the video description. But the WHO, now whether you want to trust them or not, that's up to you. I'm just going to read from the article. And I looked at it earlier. This is very new information. This is from 21 December 2021. So I looked at it, just the first few paragraphs, and it should help you know about Novavax. So starting from the first paragraph, the Technical Advisory Group for Emergency Use listed Nuvaxovid NVX-CoV2373 vaccine against COVID-19 and Novavax NVX-CoV2373 vaccine against COVID-19 for emergency use on 20 December 2021 and 17 December 2021, respectively. The Novavax vaccine will be manufactured in 2 different facilities. This is what you need to know. In Europe, the vaccine will be manufactured under the trade name Nuvaxovid and has been approved by the European Medicines Agency. And in India, the vaccine will be manufactured by Serum Institute of India under the trade name Novavax and has been approved by the Drugs Controller General of India. The WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization, SAGE, has issued interim policy recommendations for the use of the Novavax NVX-CoV2373 vaccine. This article provides a summary of those interim recommendations. How long is this article? Not very long. Who should be vaccinated first? Should pregnant women be vaccinated? Who else can take the vaccine? Who is the vaccine not recommended for? What is the recommended dosage? Can this vaccine be mixed and matched with other vaccines? How does this vaccine compare to other COVID-19 vaccines already in use? Is it safe? How efficacious is the vaccine? Does it work against new variants of SARS-CoV-2 virus? Does it prevent infection and transmission? Excuse me, I'm just going to read from the last paragraph. As there is not currently sufficient evidence to date to evaluate the impact of the vaccine on transmission, public health and social measures must continue, including use of face masks, physical distancing, hand washing, appropriate ventilation, and other measures as appropriate in particular settings, depending on the COVID-19 epidemiology and potential risks of emerging variants. Government advice on public health and social measures should continue to be followed by both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals. SAGE will update this advice as information on the impact of vaccination on virus transmission and indirect protection is assessed. So, for those people who read fear into this language, I don't read fear. I personally see this as caution, and it's on the interpretation of an individual. And oftentimes it's political involvement that makes things worse, because this is the language, this is the recommendation. When recommendations turn into mandates and laws and an environment where no questions can be asked, then it's human beings and politics and decisions driven by emotion that make a situation worse than it is. But that has been my understanding from the very beginning. I did this other search on Novavax. So as you already have come to know, there's Covavax in India, and it has already been used. This is the information from the United States through the Reuters. This is Feb 1, 2022, 11 hours ago. Novavax, after delays, files for US authorization of COVID-19 vaccine. So it would be pretty much the same information that I've already considered. It says here in the second paragraph, excuse me, this is the cough I've had since the Omicron variant. It's going on 2 weeks. It's when I talk that I get this. Otherwise, through the day, if I'm just reading to myself, doing other things, even working out, I don't get a cough like this. It's when I talk and the vocal cords are engaged. It's when I get this clear cough. So just look at the sacrifice I'm making for you people. That is the thing. Anyhow, we're already over 17 minutes into this video, and I don't want to make it too long. So let's look through this quickly. Second paragraph. The finding is based on data provided to the US Food and Drug Administration last month and results of 2 late-stage trials in the United States, Mexico, and the UK that showed the protein-based vaccine had an overall efficacy of about 90%, the company said. We believe our vaccine offers a differentiated option that can be an alternative to the portfolio of available vaccines to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic, said Novavax Chief Executive Officer Stanley Erck in a statement. This is the point to remember. It was mentioned earlier also. Novavax's vaccine uses a different technology than the mRNA, messenger ribonucleic acid, mRNA vaccines from Pfizer-BioNTech that is, and Moderna, or the Johnson & Johnson shot. I opened, was there another article? I think I opened in another article which I haven't opened right now. And it gives more details about oh wow. So NIH.gov also has clinical trial results. I'm going to put this link also. This is from the National Institutes of Health. I had not opened this. US clinical trial results show Novavax vaccine is safe and prevents COVID-19. So I'm going to put the link for this also in the video description. And because it has so many links, this one article would have a lot of information that connects to other pages and would be one stop to learn a lot. Other than that, this was also as one of the recommended articles from Reuters, and this came out 4 hours ago. Pfizer vaccine for children under 5 may be available in US by end-Feb, says the report. So that's an appropriate picture for the Pfizer vaccine. Because as you might be aware, the mRNA vaccines need to be stored and transported at a very low temperature. That is not a problem with Novavax. Novavax can be stored at temperatures, I think I read, between 2 and 6 degrees. So the existing refrigeration technology that's available around the world is capable of handling this. But the mRNA vaccines require much lower temperatures for storage. That is one thing to always keep in mind about the difference between mRNA vaccines and these other vaccines. So I would leave the link for this article also. The report says that the FDA urged the companies to submit the application so that regulators could begin reviewing the two-shot data. The idea is, let's go ahead and start the review of 2 doses. The report quoted one of the people familiar with the situation as saying, if the data holds up in the submission, you could start kids on their primary baseline months earlier than if you don't do anything until the 3rd dose data comes in. So obviously there's a rush. Is it justified? Well, you have to talk to the parents. Some would be as apprehensive as they can be, depending on the information and their viewpoint, and their general trust or distrust in these pharmaceutical companies. On the other hand, there would be parents who would be thankful. Why would they be thankful? It's because they've gone through information where children who were exposed to the first variants of the coronavirus, of SARS-CoV-2, and they've read of reports where the immune system of the children responded and how their immune systems responded and what happened to their internal organs. So were those minority cases? Were those boys more than girls? All that specific information is to be researched. But at this point, you're bound to get 2 different reactions. You're bound to get distrust, and you're bound to get rejection. And on the other hand, you would even get gratitude and an investigative response. Which is the right one? That depends on the parents. No one else is to judge. But the way things are going, this is how it stands. So it does say here, Pfizer, BioNTech, and the FDA did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comments. Pfizer said in January it expected the latest results from a clinical trial for kids under the age of 5 by April, after it amended its study to give a 3rd dose to everybody who's less than 5 at least 8 weeks after their last vaccination. And you can read more. So I'm going to put the link to this article also in the video description. Other than that, Moderna is in the news. So it's not just Pfizer here for children under 5. Moderna bags full USFDA nod for COVID vaccine Spikevax. So Cambridge. Moderna Incorporated has recently announced the US Food and Drug Administration, USFDA, has approved the biologics license application BLA for Spikevax COVID-19 vaccine mRNA to prevent COVID-19 in individuals 18 years of age and older. Our COVID-19 vaccine has been administered to hundreds of millions of people around the world, protecting people from COVID-19 infection, hospitalization, and death. The totality of real-world data and the full BLA for Spikevax in the United States reaffirms the importance of vaccination against this virus. I'm just going to stop reading here. One thing that is different today is that data comes in very quickly because of the internet. So whether it's VAERS reporting, which is unvetted data, but it's still information, or there's information coming in from hospitals and doctors to the manufacturer or to the FDA or to the clinicaltrials.gov. So that data comes in very quickly as soon as it becomes available. It's like sending an email or a text message. So how long would that take? It happens within moments as soon as it becomes available. So shortage of data should not be an issue. The reliability of data and how much of it can be genuinely trusted given the short period of time, those are the other questions, the other important questions. So to be skeptical, that's not wrong. But to not investigate, to not be willing to learn, or to have prejudices and biases for or against, those are the problems in the way of science. Politics is another problem. Excuse me. If I cough like this outside, people are going to stay 6 feet away from me. No doubt about that. This is the last article that I looked at. Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine Spikevax receives full approval by USFDA. Yeah, you put a picture of Joe Biden next to it and people will definitely form an opinion about this information even before reading it. So, same information that was in the other one. This is the tweet by Moderna. And if they have some article to read, you could go to their website and do that, or respond to Moderna on their social networking on Twitter. And that's how easy it is to reach a manufacturer these days. Aside from the reports and everything else, they're on social networks and you can get in touch with the manufacturer as and when you want. It's possible. So that's good. It mentions here Omicron scare. Well, that is another thing, that these developments that I was looking at in Israel are happening at a time when the Omicron variant is already global. And if not through January, then definitely in February, it should be globally, this variant would have spread, from everything that I've heard and read. So these decisions that are being made, competing against a highly transmissible variant through millions of new doses of a new vaccine, why they're doing it, it's they know best. What you think about it is up to you. But to a lot of people it would strike as odd, this desire to compete against the virus through testing and vaccination. This policy and mandates, government control, like it says here, green passes. So, and the emphasis is on vaccines. It's not on health. It's not on nutrition. It's not on providing supplements, which could be beneficial, like vitamin C and vitamin D and K and zinc, which would be helpful, even if it's not therapeutic or it's not a cure. Those are cheap and they can be easily provided. Even if somebody is vaccinated or is a prospective client to be vaccinated, what's the harm in preparing the immune system to be at its best? That should be something that's done, whether it's a pandemic or it's not a pandemic. It should be something people just keep doing. So that's all the time I have. It's over 30 minutes. All these links to the articles are going to be added to the video description, and I hope you find all of this information to be useful to you. So thank you for your time, and goodbye. Take care.